Hello, welcome back to my channel, and a big hello to all the new subscribers that have joined me recently. It is fabulous to have you, and I'm excited to say that I'm going to be starting a new kind of tradition, habit, whatever you want to call it, in my videos where I'm going to shout out my favorite comment from my previous video. And I'm going to kick this off with a comment from Peter Banner on my last video, which was all about the W series. If you haven't seen that yet, you can check it out here. But thank you so much, Peter, for your comment and for regularly commenting. I love seeing everyone's comments on my videos, and I really enjoy chatting back and forth with you. So I'm very interested to see what comments you all have on this video, and let's see who's going to get spotlighted next time. Now, we had some very interesting special edition helmets that the drivers brought for the inaugural Miami Grand Prix last weekend. Some people would say that the helmets brought more excitement than the race itself. Personally, I was definitely hoping for a bit more excitement and action on the track kind of more consistently throughout the race. Let's be grateful that we did get some at the end. But as far as the helmets go, I'm going to be rating these as either a flop, as in not a fan, wouldn't wear it if I was racing, or a cop, as in yes, I would absolutely wear this and be proud to rock it if I was racing. So that's what I'm going to be doing throughout this video. I'm going to be also asking you for your top tier 3 options, which I want you to comment down below as we go through, and then I'm going to share my top tier options at the end as well in the comments. So make sure that you like this video before we get into it, and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any more videos from me. So as far as I can see, neither of the Ferrari or Mercedes drivers brought special edition helmets for Miami. And now that I think about it, do Ferrari allow special edition helmets if they're not on brand with the Ferrari red? I actually don't know the answer to that, so if you do know the answer, please drop it in the comments below, because I don't know. So let's start off with the 2 McLaren boys, and I'm going to be kind of popping up each photo of each helmet as I go through, but this first one is probably the most controversial because he got a lot of love for this. I'm not a fan of the Lando Norris basketball helmet. Don't come for me. It felt like he had done an upscale version of like puncturing a hole in a basketball and putting it on his head. I mean, I know that's so much work, more work than that went into it, but I just could not get on board with it. So personally, I'm gonna have to call this one a flop. But on the other side of the garage, we have Daniel Ricciardo, who I absolutely just love the helmet and what he did with it. I think it was so smart. I think the creative looked absolutely amazing. And essentially what he did is he created an Ace Ventura Pet Detective themed helmet. I think this is one of my favorites, if not my favorite, that he has ever done. And essentially what he did is he had himself as Ace Ventura in a photo on the helmet, but he also had these really awesome floral designs on there. And on top of actually just kind of debuting the helmet, like a lot of drivers put up videos introducing their new helmets, he also put a video up on his Instagram of his impression of Ace Ventura, which is just too hilarious not to include a snippet of it here, so please enjoy.
Broken. Most likely, sir. I bet it was something nice though. This is double paint soundproof glass. There's no way that thing.
So as far as the Red Bull drivers go, Max is first up here, and he went with a Miami Vice themed helmet. This actually is pretty decent when you are able to like get a closer look at it, but because he stuck so close to the kind of darker colorway that naturally is there anyway in the Red Bull helmet, I just felt like his design didn't really stick out. Like, there were really cool details in there, but you couldn't see them unless you were actually paying really close attention, and if he was holding the helmet or standing still, or if it was a static photo. So I think it's still a cop for me because I liked the design, but I definitely think that there were, he could have done a bit more to make it stand out. On the other side of the garage, we have Sergio Perez, and this is actually one of my favorite again, one of my favorite helmets that was brought in for this weekend. I just think the brighter colors and the kind of more authentic Miami vibe kind of really made it stand out when you look at the darker option that Max went for. So again, Sergio's helmet is a cop for me. Both Alfa Romeo drivers also brought special edition helmets, so let's take a look at what they had with them. Zhou Guanyu kind of went a more subtle down the basketball route as opposed to Lando's full send on that theme, and I actually really like it. So he obviously, you know, did the kind of Miami vibe with his colorway, but then he also put in this Bugs Bunny-esque Looney Tunes character, and he also kind of had basketball motif things running throughout the helmet. So this is one of the first helmets that I saw during the weekend, and immediately it just obviously popped out, and this is definitely a cop for me. I wouldn't necessarily normally call Valtteri Bottas one of the most colourful drivers on the grid, but he brought the heat last weekend. He had not one, not two, but 3 special edition helmets for the Miami Grand Prix, so one for each day of the action, and he had a different theme for each day. So on Friday it was Miami Art, which makes a lot of sense. Miami is very well known for Art Basel, which is kind of known as the premier American art exhibition every year, and they have a fantastic array of street art and graffiti as well. Then on Saturday he went for a retro theme, and then for the race on Sunday he went for a pool party vibe. My favorite was the pool party one. Again, I think this weekend in particular, for some reason, it was the brighter colors that really stood out and kind of appealed to me. So I'm calling that one my favorite, and I actually think, to be honest though, all 3 of them were a cop. They were all awesome. And a very cool fact is that his girlfriend Tiffany Cromwell was actually the one that designed the helmets. So she's a professional cyclist by profession, but apparently is also very talented in designing cool things, which is awesome. Haas had somewhat of a disappointing weekend in Miami, with Mick being so close to scoring his first points in Formula 1, but then obviously crashing into Seb 2 laps from the end of the Grand Prix. So disappointing weekend overall for them, with Kevin as well. And unfortunately, I am calling the only special edition helmet that they brought for last weekend a flop. Mick brought a special edition helmet that kind of went with the bright pinks and blues that we saw with a lot of drivers for Miami, which made sense, and then went for a dragon motif, which I kind of it just didn't really like. I wasn't vibing with it and wasn't kind of up there in my top tier, so unfortunately I'm calling that one a flop. Williams were another team who only had one of their drivers that brought a special edition helmet for Miami, and that was Alex Albon. He seems to be very into red and blue at the minute. The blue obviously entirely makes sense with Williams. He's dyed his hair red, which, you know, we all need to switch up every now and then, and he kind of continued that theme into his special helmet for Miami. He went for a sort of kind of slightly generic American red, white and blue theme, which doesn't necessarily speak specifically to Miami, but obviously it's a new race in the States. Again, I didn't think that this was kind of one of the more exciting ones that came out, so I'm going to call this one a flop as well. Let's move on to AlphaTauri. Now, they had an absolutely stunning new livery for the Miami Grand Prix. It honestly tops even their helmet choices, in my opinion. Like, the livery was just absolutely stunning. Let's just take a moment for this thing of beauty. So on the Pierre Gasly side of the garage, we had a white and blue, again similar to kind of what Alex Albon did, a white and blue sort of American vibe on Pierre's helmet. I mentioned before in a driver deep dive video that he is in the NFT space. He's kind of very business savvy in that area. And what he's actually done is he's launched a new campaign or series, I should say, of NFTs of helmet designs. So this is one of them, and he'll just continue to add to that collection as he brings out new helmet designs. So if you're interested in that, you can find out more about it on his Instagram. But with the helmet itself for this weekend, I didn't personally love it, so I'm going to call the helmet a flop, but I'm going to give him an A+++ for business savvy with the new NFT series launch. On Yuki's side, we had a purple and blue vibe going on that I felt fit really well with their new livery, so I'm going to call this one a cop. It's not to say that it was one of the most outstanding helmets of the weekend, but I felt like it just fit in very well with the new livery that they had brought. Also forgot to mention in Pierre's section that he met Michael Jordan and got to spend some time with him during the Grand Prix weekend, which, I mean, again, top tier. All right, we're down to our last two teams. So Alpine, first of all, and they were another one of the teams that only had one of their drivers bring a special edition helmet, which was Fernando Alonso. With that being said, they did have a bunch of new merch that the team were wearing across the weekend. So, you know, maybe Esteban just felt like this is enough. I don't need to go, you know, the whole 9 yards. It's fair enough. But Fernando did opt into the kind of very popular blues, pinks, palm trees, that kind of classic Miami vibe, and I think maybe this helmet on its own is a flop, but the way that it kind of sits in to the overall aesthetic of the Alpine racing suit, I think makes overall, I would say, this is a cop, so we're giving him a positive rating for that. On the Aston Martin side of things, again, only one driver brought a special edition helmet, which was Sebastian Vettel, and Seb actually used his helmet and some merch and his press time to call attention to climate change. So he had a t-shirt during press that said act now or swim later, and he was calling attention to the fact that in just a matter of 50 years, the Miami Grand Prix would actually be underwater if we don't do something to drastically slow down the progress of climate change. So honestly, I love how vocal Seb is about, political, human, and obviously environmental issues that are just outside of Formula One. I think, once he and Lewis do retire, I do kind of worry that we won't really have any voices around these topics. You don't really hear any of the younger drivers speaking up in terms of their activism or anything like that. Lando Norris, to be fair to him, has spoken a good deal about mental health, which is really, really important to highlight. But I do worry for the kind of value of the platform and the voices that these drivers and that F1 in general has going forward once Seb and Lewis retire. All of that being said, Seb's helmet is absolutely a cop for me, and to be honest, I'd buy one of his act now or swim later t-shirts as well. I think it's fantastic that he's calling attention to this. The time has come, folks. I have now run you through all the special edition helmets that we saw last weekend at the Miami Grand Prix, so it is time for you to drop your 3 top tier choices in the comments below. I'm going to kick it off by including mine in there as well, and let's have a debate. Let's see who we come out with these top 3 choices. Until then, and until my next video, take care and enjoy your racing.